Right. Okay. Making. Bismillah. Okay, here's the first step. Step number 1. Always change. What kind of fraction are we going to change? Always change mixed fractions into top heavy, or we call them improper fractions. Either way, that's step 1. So the rules for multiplying and dividing fractions are the same, apart from division has an extra step. Okay, so multiplying and dividing follow the same steps, but division has an extra step. Division has a step, we call that step 1.5. This step is only for division. Okay, so step number 1 is for multiplication and division. Step 1.5 is for division only. I'm going to come back to that in a bit. Let's carry on step 2 now. We'll come back to that. Let's keep the flow going. Step 2. Once we've changed the mixed fractions into top heavy for when you're multiplying and dividing, when we go to step number 2 for multiplying, we try to cancel. Cancel is another name for simplify. We cancel and simplify in which directions? Okay, we try to cancel and simplify in this diagonal direction here, the numbers, and we try to cancel in this diagonal over here. Or we try to cancel in this vertical direction here, or in this vertical direction here, between the numbers on the numerator and the denominator of the fractions. So we can cancel this way, or this way, or this way, or this way. But we never cancel. Which way do we not cancel? That way, horizontally. So we cancel diagonally or vertically. Okay. So we try to cancel, simplify these directions. The key word here is try to. Sometimes you won't be able to cancel because the numbers don't cancel. Okay. Now, after you try to cancel, what do we do next? In that same rule, after we try to cancel, and then we've done that, cancelling, simplifying. After you've done that, or you wasn't able to do that, so it says try to, we then what? And then multiply out. Okay, so we say multiply what? The top numbers together on the top line, and then we multiply the bottom numbers on the bottom. Step number 4. What do we do last? So the last thing we do is, now we got the top number multiplied out, bottom multiplied out, we change any top heavy fractions top heavy, another word for top heavy is improper fractions, back into, what do we change into? What do we start off with? The first one in the beginning question, we started off with here look, started off with what? Mixed. So we change it back into mixed. Okay. Now, sometimes if you haven't, if you look at step number 2, if you haven't cancelled or simplified at this step as much as you can, you will find that at the end that you can cancel then again. Okay, so we put that back in now. So change the top heavy back into mixed and cancel again if you can. And cancel again. Sometimes you forget, you haven't simplified properly. Whoops, hang on 1 second. Got some crazy spelling going on. And cancel again if possible. Okay, that's what we do when we are doing multiplying and division fractions. We do step 1. If we do multiplying fractions, what we do? We do step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So multiplying fractions, we do all the 4 steps. Now what happens if we do in division? We do all the 4 steps and we do one extra step, which is step 1.5, which we're going to do now. So this is the extra step for when we do division. So we've done step 1, always change mixed fractions into top heavy. Now step 1.5 for division only. What do we do next? We change the divide sign in the question into what? Into, what do we change the divide sign into? Times. And we turn the second fraction upside down. Okay, so what did we say? We said if we are multiplying fractions, we follow step 1, 2, 3, and 4. If we are dividing fractions, we follow steps 1, 1.5, 2, 3, and 4. So when we're doing division, we never actually do a division. The division question gets converted into a times, and the second fraction gets turned upside down. Now the question we convert into a multiplication fraction question. Then we carry on with step 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So these are the rules for multiplying and dividing fractions. Okay? Right, what we need to do now, we need to move on to some questions. Okay, we're going to pause it here. Okay, we're going to be looking at exercise 14, multiplying fractions, basic skills book. Okay, the exercise is here on the side, left hand side over here. Question number 8 is over here. Now, let's follow the rules. Now, we can't see the rules at the same time here because I've had to clear the page. I will go through the rules verbally. Rule number 1, step 1, says that when we have a mixed fraction, we must turn the mixed fraction into a top heavy. So for us to do that, we start from the bottom over here and we go around like that. So we do 2 times by 1 is 2. And then we add the 1 on the top. So 2 times by 1 is 2. 2 add 1 is, that gives us 3. So that gives us 1.5 is equivalent to 3.5. Now we copy down the rest of the fraction question that hasn't changed. Now, step 1 says change any mixed fraction into top heavy. How many mixed fractions do I have in the question? There's one fraction here, one here. How many mixed fractions do I have? 1. Have we changed that into top heavy? Yes. What do we do the second one? Nothing, just copy it down. Now the question is ready for us to do step 2. Remember, you only do step 1.5 when you're doing division. When you're doing multiplying, we go straight to step 2. What does step 2 say? Step 2 says we try to cancel in which direction? Okay. We try to cancel which direction? We try to cancel diagonally, this way. We try to simplify which way? This way. These are diagonals. Okay, we try to simplify. Okay. Okay. We try to simplify vertically. Okay, these are the directions in which we can cancel. Vertically like this, diagonally like this, or like that. But we never ever try to simplify which direction? Horizontally. Never. You can't do that. So let's have a look in the directions that we've chosen. So if I look in the diagonal direction of the 3 here and the 3 there, can we cancel them? Yes. And we can cancel those 2 3's by dividing them by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we've done those. Let's see if we can cancel in this other diagonal here. Okay. So we got a 2 here and a 2 here. Now will 2 and 2 divide by a highest common factor, and the highest common factor is 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So let's have a look what we got left. On the top we have left 1 times by 1. On the bottom we have 1 times by 1. That gives us 1 divided by 1, which is equal to a grand total of 1. So 1.5 times by 2/3 gives us an answer of 1. Okay, are we happy with that question? Right, let's do another question. And then, remember, if we don't have a mixed fraction, what do we do step 1? We miss step 1. Step 1 says change mixed fractions into top heavy. If you don't have a mixed fraction in your question, you don't do that part. If the question is just all proper fractions, you go straight to step 2. Right, let's do another question and then I'm going to let you do some questions. Okay, right, let's get rid of this, do the title. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of... We need to fill it. Okay, whoops, wrong one. Right, just give me a moment. I'll do that. Okay, the next question we're going to attempt today is question 3.5 divided by 4 and 170 is question number 7 over here. You see that? Right. What did we say? We said that we have to change all mixed fractions into, so we've got two mixed fractions. We start over here and we go around and we do 2 times by 3 and then add 1. 2 times by 3 is, add 1 is, so that gives you 7 over 2. Let's do the same on the second fraction. So we times and add. So 7 times by 4 is 28, and then we add the 1, that gives us 29. So we have changed this mixed fraction into top heavy or improper fraction, this mixed fraction into top heavy or top heavy or improper. Now, what do we need to do now? We need to, and the key word is step number 2 says, try to cancel diagonally or vertically. So we look at this diagonal, we look at this number here and this number here, and we say, can we cancel these two? And the answer is no, because 2 and 29 do not share any common factors apart from 1, and dividing by 1 is useless. So we can't cancel this way. So we look at the other diagonal, 7 and 7. So 7 and 7, will they cancel in this diagonal? And the answer is yes. So 7 divided by 7 is, because 7 and 7, the highest number that divides into them is the number itself. And 7 divided by 7 is 1. Now, we should also try to see if we can cancel vertically. 7 and 2, will they cancel? And the answer is no. Because they're both prime numbers, they won't divide it into, there's no highest common factor apart from 1. Same as 29 and 1. So, what do we do now? We multiply them out. So we have 1 over here times by 29. 1 times by 29. And on the bottom we have 2 times by 1. Okay, so what's 1 times by 29? 29. I'll copy over here. What's 2 times by 1? 2. Now, step number 3 said in our rule, change any top-heavy fraction back into mixed. And that's what we're going to do now. That's what you've been practicing last week. So 29 over 2 is now going to be converted. That's right. So that what do we do? We say 29, that line means divide by 2. So it's 29 divide by 2, which is equal to 14 whole ones, and the remainder is 1. The 1 over the 2. So when we change top heavy into mix, the whole number goes to the front, the remainder goes on the top, and the bottom number gets copied onto the bottom. Okay? And so the answer to that question is 14.5. That is our final answer for that question. So not all questions will simplify in all directions. So in this question here, you can only cancel in one diagonal, but not the other. And we couldn't do any vertical cancelling either. Sometimes you won't be able to cancel at all. The question is try to simplify. Then you move straight to the next step. Okay. That's done. Okay, it's now time for you to do some questions. Okay, let's make this a bit bigger. Okay, right. Okay, now for classwork, I want you to try the following questions. Question number 2, question number 7, number 11. Let's try some of these high cancelling ones over here, number 24. Okay, number 22. Okay, so we got some ones with the. Okay, let's do some more of the mixed fractions in them. Okay. Right. Question number 21. That should be enough. Let's try those 6 questions quickly. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do those. Let's see how you get on with them, and then we'll come back. Okay, Bismillah, welcome back, folks. We are looking at dividing fractions now. So dividing fractions is the conclusion of multiplying fractions. If we understand how to multiply fractions, we can divide fractions. Now, dividing fractions, you need to refer back to the introduction of this video, and we have those rules: step 1, step 2, 3, 4, and we have step 1.5, which is the special step for division. We're going to be doing that in this question. We're going to do all steps. So you need to refer back to the original video. If you've copied out those notes, you need to have them in front of you. At the moment, it's difficult for me to keep going backwards to that, because that's already been deleted from the page and it's gone. Okay, so I'm gonna do verbally from memory. You'll have to do from your notes. So let's have a look. Step 1. When we are dividing fractions, or whether we are multiplying and dividing fractions, we use the same steps. Steps 1 to 4. But with division, we have an extra step. That's called step 1.5. That's in between step 1 and 2. So let's follow step 1 for multiplying, the same for division, which is change all mixed fractions into top heavy. So we start from the bottom and we multiply and add. So 2 times by 2 add 1 will give us 5 over 2. Copy down the division for the moment. Second fraction, turn that into mixed fraction into top. So 4 times by 1 is 4. Add the 1 on top is 5 over 4. Here comes now that special step. Okay, which is the step, what's it called? Step 1.5, which is only for division. Otherwise, everything is for multiplication, but division has an extra step. Now, that extra step says, what does it say? Turn the division sign into a times. So this is how we do it. We just write it down on the next slide. So look at the board. So we don't change it there, we change it in the next slide now. And then it says turn the second fraction upside. So the 4 goes to the top and the 5 goes to the bottom. So we turn this, actually, let me just change the arrow there a bit. That's not as good as I want it to be. So, right. So the 4 goes to the top and the 5 comes to the bottom. That's better. That's a better way of writing it. Let's just copy it back down again now. So we have 5 over 2. What happens to 5 over 2? Does that change? No. Does the divide change? Yes. The divide has now become a times. The 5 quarters has now become what? What does the 5 quarters now become? It has become 4/5. The 4 from the bottom went to the top and the 5 went to the bottom. So these things have been changed. The divide has become a times and that's become 4/5. Now, what do we do now? We do what we're supposed to do now for step 2. Step 2 says, try to cancel, simplify diagonally, which is this way. So let's try to simplify diagonally. Will the 2 and the 4 simplify? Yes. What will they simplify by? 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we're dividing by the highest common factor, which is the biggest number that will divide into 2 and 4, which is 2. Now, let's pick the other diagonal. Let's see if we can cancel in this diagonal. We've got 5 and 5, they're both the same, so they should cancel by dividing by themselves, which is the highest common factor. The biggest number that divides into 5 and 5 is 5. So 5 divided by 5 is, what is it? 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now what do we do? Now we multiply the top numbers, which is what we have left on top. 1 times by 2. So 1 times by 2. And what do we have left on the bottom? We have 1 times by 1. Remember the 5 has been cancelled. This is 1 now. So 1 times by 1. So 1 times by 2 is 2. 1 times by 1 is, and 2 divided by 1 is, which I'm going to write up here. I'm going to have space. So my grand total answer is 2. Now students get a bit worried when they get a whole number for an answer to a fraction question. Don't get worried. we can get whole number answers, and that is the final answer to this particular question. Okay, so we done first of all step 1, change mixed fraction to top heavy. Done. Step 1.5, the special step for division, turn the divide into a times. Step 1.5 also says turn the second fraction upside down. So the bottom goes to the top and the top goes to the bottom, which we've done. After doing the special step 1.5, we follow all the regular steps for multiplying, which is step 2, 3 and 4. Step 2 says try to cancel, which we've done. Step 3 says multiply at the top, multiply bottom, which we've done. Step 4 says change top heavy fractions into mix. So 2 is top heavy over 1. 2 divided by 1 is 2. Finished. No more cancelling, no more simplifying. That's the end of that fraction division question. Let's do one more question, and then we go on to some questions for you to do for classwork. So question number 5 is done. Right, let's do bring over. Okay. Oh. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, okay, lovely. Right. So which question? Okay, now we're looking at question number 10 over here. Okay. Welcome back. Question number 10. We're looking at this question here. 6 over 11 divided by 3 over 22. Now, step 1 says change any mixed fractions into top heavy. Do we have any mixed fractions? No. So we don't do step 1. We move on to step 1.5 because we're doing division. We have to do that extra step. Step 1.5 says turn the division sign into a what? Time sign. And it says turn the second fraction upside down. So the 22 goes to the top and the 3 comes to the bottom. And then we copy down the rest of the question. Okay, step 1 we tried to do, couldn't do it, so we ignored it. Step 1.5 we have done it now. So everything is now in a top heavy or a normal improper fraction way. Sorry, in a proper fraction. Okay, now what we're going to try to do now, we're going to do step 3. What is step 3? Step 3 states we try to cancel diagonally here or vertically. Now if you look vertically, we can't cancel anything vertically because there's no common factor apart from 1. Okay, so let's try cancel in this direction, diagonally. So 11 and 22, what can I cancel them by? 11. So 11 divided by 11 is 1. 22 divided by 11 is 2. Let's try another direction. Let's try this diagonal cancelling. So this diagonal here. So 6 and 3, the biggest number that will divide into them is 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now that we've done all the cancelling as much as we can, let's see, can we cancel vertically? No. Vertically, no. Anymore. We can't cancel horizontally, that's illegal, that's not allowed. What do we do now? Now we multiply at the top numbers and multiply at the bottom numbers. So we have 2 times by 2 on the top. We have 1 times by 1 on the bottom. So 2 times by 2 will give us 4. 1 times by 1 will give us 1. Now this is called a top heavy fraction. It's 4 divided by 1. And 4 divided by 1, answer up here, more space. 4 divided by 1 will give us a nice answer of 4. Done. That's the end of that question. Now I'm going to give you some classwork questions for you to do. So let me just highlight them for you. So I want you to do question number 5, number 18, number 20, number 22. You can do those questions for me now. Thank you very much for joining us on this video, everybody else. And we'll see you in the next video. Hope this helps. Inshallah.